We like to have somebody sitting in the third chair when we come back from a video segment. This is Lowell Liebermann, who's on our jury for this Cliburn International Junior Piano Competition. He's also figured in Cliburn's of the past. Was it your 3 impromptus? Do you call them impromptus?
Yes, it was.
That won the Cliburn Invitational, the Composer's Invitational, I think is what we called it.
Right.
Was that 2001?
I believe it was.
Right. For a while we had at the Cliburn a competition within a competition. That the commission piece was also a part of a competition. And I can't remember, did you submit that with your name or blind? Or did we know that's...
We were invited to submit pieces, but then I think they were selected anonymously. And then the winner was, I believe, the most number of semi-finalists who
played
chose to perform the piece, yes.
Right. It's not a mystery why pianists choose to play Lowell's music so much. Lowell, you write... Rachel and I have been talking a lot about composers who write so gratefully for the piano, who write in such a way that you feel like the piece is playing itself, and you are one of those. I think a lot of it's because you play the piano, right?
I try to play the piano. After hearing some of these kids, I might give up because it's it's amazing.
It's humbling, isn't it?
It's very humbling to hear a 14-year-old get up and play something in a way that you could never approach.
Do you write at the piano?
I do. Especially if I'm composing piano music, a lot of the ideas come through improvisation, and I tend to work mostly at the piano.
Do you consider yourself a fast writer or a slow writer?
It doesn't feel like I'm a fast writer, but everybody else tells me I'm a fast writer.
Do people tell you that what Rachel and I were just talking about, that your music is so well laid out for the piano, or do they tell you it's too hard? What do they tell you? Do you get a range of opinion?
Both. I get both. and actually when I have to perform my own pieces, as I am, when we're not involved with the competition, I'm practicing every moment I can because I have a bunch of concerts coming up where I'm playing 4 of my own pieces. So I'm practicing them actively right now and cursing myself every step of the way for making them so difficult.
I think it was your 45th birthday. We had a concert, Cliburn at the Modern Art Series, and you played 3 pieces on your 45th birthday in Fort Worth. It was one of your birthdays anyway. It was your
I think it was
birthday.
40. I think
the
you're
flute
right.
sonata and a new sonata you had written for Andres Diaz.
Right. You have an amazing
And
memory.
piano quintet.
Yes. Yeah.
It was a lot of playing that night.
It was.
So how do you get ready for something? Do you approach your music as if it were someone else's?
You have to, because there's a real danger when you write a piece that you think you know it better than you do. And of course, playing piano is all about muscle memory. So having written the piece has nothing to do with muscle memory. So you have to be even extra diligent in a way to learn it, because I've had the experience of performing some of my pieces when I thought I knew them better than I actually did. The one lucky thing is nobody else knows if you're messing something up.
Except, you know what?
Well,
certain
now
pieces,
they do with certain pieces,
have become sort of canon with you. The flute sonata, of course, is one of your greatest hits. And so, some of the nocturnes for piano, I should think, and gargoyles, which we might even hear.
Is perhaps the most performed contemporary American piano piece right now, I think.
That's great, right?
Yeah.
What are you working on now?
I am working right now on a song cycle that's a joint commission between Wigmore Hall and Kennedy Center for a fantastic soprano named Brenda Ray.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to be premiered in September.
And we've talked a lot about the process of composition. Do you get together with the soprano and figure out what poets you're going to use? Where does the libretto come from?
In this case, yes. I asked the soprano if she had any poets or particular poems, and she wanted female poets, and she wanted them to be out about nature. So she suggested a couple, and then I suggested a couple, and then we kind of
So it's
got
always a
together.
negotiation
Yeah,
somehow
yeah,
with
yeah.
this. Tell me this: do you find when you're entering a period where you're writing, does it ever take you any time to get other people's notes out of your head and
Oh,
get
yes.
down to sort of distilled Lowell Lieberman?
Absolutely, which is why the whole thing of trying to balance composing and piano playing, at least for me, I find it to be very difficult because when I'm practicing other people's music, I can't write, and also when I'm writing, that's a 24-hour day occupation. I mean, you've got that uncompleted phrase continuously on playback in your head until it's completed. So,
Speaking of the unfinished phrase, does it also begin in your head? Does that phrase that you're talking about, that same phrase, does that begin in your head, or has it been a part of improvising at the piano, or both?
It happens both ways. I mean, I still have the cocktail napkin that I wrote the opening theme of my flute concerto on at a bar at 3 o'clock in the morning after several margaritas.
You never know
So
where
you never
inspiration
know when it's going to hit you.
is going to strike.
Usually it does strike when you're actively working at it because it's difficult and you need concentration. But every now and then an idea does just kind of
Do you trust them?
fall out of the sky.
Do you trust them when they fall out of the sky?
The next morning, maybe.
So you've got to think about it just a little bit.
Yeah.
Fascinating discussion always with composers, the act of creation. It's not something I do
No,
really, so
neither do
it's
I.
always such a fascinating thing. I think Van Cliburn, if he were with us, would love your music. The way it fits on the piano, the way it sounds on the piano, it's definitely something he would have liked.